welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and we are here to make you guys some money. Welcome into the Week 8 NFL preview show, where we preview every single game on the slate, starting with Thursday night, ending with Monday night. We do record these on Tuesday night, and we also take a sneaky little look into the gambling lines. We do have an absolute red hot gambler on our hands right here. Where is he? He's sitting right there. Mr. James, a red hot gambler. How you feeling, buddy?
Feeling great. 5-3 last week, plus 2.9 units. That's always great to hear. I'm excited to make the people some more money this week. Had to fax over to the NFL office for the script this week, but we've got it again. It's ready to go. It's going to be a good week.
He really does have the script. I believe you doubled down on New York Giants money line last week.
I did. It moved to plus 135 once they officially announced that Daniel Jones was out. I felt that had little to no effect on my feeling in the game. But if you're going to give me an extra 30 on that, I'm taking it. So double down. That was a great win this week for the Giants. So very happy with that.
And why wouldn't you be happy about it? Anthony Ramoz, how are you doing, Mr. Buddy?
No, I didn't pay attention to how my bets went last week, if I'm being honest. Probably best for everybody that happened. I'm a little bit more sober this time, so maybe I'll be a little more smart with my bets. But yeah, I mean, here to possibly make some money. I did have to do DoorDash this week, so there's that again. So.
Anthony, if you didn't watch last week, was so hot he hadn't had to do DoorDash in how long?
3 weeks.
Anthony, you picked like every single game last week. You had Jags +1, Lions +3, Bills -9, Giants +2, Seahawks -7.5, Chargers +5.5, Packers -1, Miami Dolphins +2, 49ers -6.5. I don't think that was very good. Going off a quick memory there.
No.
Anyways, going around the table here to Mr. Andrew. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Ready to start my comeback season. I'm coming back strong this week, guys.
We are coming in strong this weekend. We're coming back, and we're starting here in Week 8, exactly when you'd expect us to really start getting hot right here, now that we know everything about everything. Speaking of knowing everything about everything, Mr. Most Days Off, Miles Francis, how are you doing, buddy?
Definitely glad I don't actually take my own betting advice after last week.
Mr. Most Days Off is an NFL expert. He is a comedy amateur, but he does not actually gamble on his own bets because he is responsible, unlike us.
We'll call it that.
Cheers to him. We'll call that responsible. Here we go. I mean, honestly, my favorite time of the week is sitting down and recording with y'all Tuesday night, talking about some gambling and some games that we are going to see. Starting with Thursday night, we will be streaming this game live in studio here, so please subscribe and hang out with us. We'll do a live watch party stream. We'll all do the commentary, and we'll all have a silly time watching the Buccaneers play the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. The Bucs are on a 2-game home losing streak. Baker Mayfield's looked a little bit off. Mike Evans, he looked especially off against the Bills. Mike Evans hasn't been great. They haven't really been able to run the ball like a whole lot with Rachaad White all season in Tampa. They are getting out of town. They are going up north to face the Buffalo Bills, who just lost to the fucking Patriots, who are terrible. Like, legitimately one of the worst teams in the league. Buffalo, up and down team on Thursday night. I would expect them to get it back together, and I think this line is pretty darn good sitting here at 8.5, the over-under at 42. If I had to lean in any direction, I would just take the Buccaneers plus 8.5, because that's a lot of points. Maybe Baker Mayfield scores enough points with Mike Evans to keep it close. But I do not want to bet it, so I will hand it off to Red Hot Mr. James. What do you think?
As a degenerate gambler, you know the greatest sound in the world walking through a casino is Buffalo. Everybody loves to hear that sound. But I'll be honest here. I think this line is a little wonky. I don't know about 8.5 of these teams, but the thing that I do know is under 42 seems to be a great spot. And so I'm taking the under on this one. There's not going to be too cold of a weather, but I don't think either of these teams really gets a lot done. Probably a lot of field goals, probably not a lot of red zone conversions. I think under is really good in this game.
Brilliant. So Mr. James is going under 42 on this one. Mr. Anthony, what do you think?
I'm in agreement. I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, I don't see either one of these teams getting it close to even together. Both of them haven't looked impressive at all. Buffalo is just consistently shitting their pants. And Tampa just can't really figure out what their offensive style is. So I think it's just going to be a field goal fest. So I would take the under on this one.
Taking under 42 as well, sending it off to Mr. Andrew. What do you think?
Well, the under cat was here. I, too, am taking the under. Man, this is a game where it just screams out Buffalo is probably going to dominate the Buccaneers, but you just have no idea how many points it's going to be. I mean, it could be 21-0, 21-6. The Bucs last couple of weeks have just had trouble moving the ball, period, unless they're going deep to Mike Evans or so. So, well, Baker Mayfield's knee being dinged up and Chris Godwin being dinged up, I'll just go ahead and say let's take the under. Let's be safe here.
Baker Mayfield lives dinged up, first of all. Second of all, matchup-wise, what do the Buccaneers do great defensively? They stop the run. Do the Buffalo Bills care about you stopping the run? No. So for that reason, I don't love the under in this game. I do still lean the Buccaneers. Y'all haven't pulled me off that yet. Mr. Miles, what do you think?
No strong bet. I lean with both of you. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. Negative 440 just isn't enough to make that bet. The under feels good, but at the same time, like it always feels like the Buffalo Bills might like remember that, like, oh yeah, we're actually pretty good at this. We've got some talent in a lot of positions.
Yeah.
We could score a lot of points in a game with just Josh Allen connecting with Diggs. So the under feels like the safest of all of the bets if you're going for it, but I'm just going to stay away from this one.
Yeah. I mean, with inspiration of James, I would almost lean the money line. Plus, like you said, Miles, it could just be like Buffalo Bills just figure it out. But it could also just be a Baker Mayfield dream scenario game because that happens all the time too, especially back up against his wall, Baker Mayfield. Weird things happen, especially in Buffalo. So that's why I'm laying off of it. Moving on to the next game, Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles just murder the Dolphins. It was pretty beautiful win. Nick Sirianni was saying as much as he was walking off the field, screaming at reporters like, is that good enough for you? Is that a good enough win for you? He only has one loss on the season so far, and the whole organization seems to be disappointed with honestly great results. The Eagles are getting 6.5 point favorites on the road at Washington. Washington has looked horrible. Sam Howell hasn't been able to produce. Jahan Dotson, second-year wide receiver, has been one of the biggest disappointments this year in terms of like people we were hopeful for. Scary Terry has been kind of banged up throughout the season, not looked great. The defensive line, supposed to be a dominant part about this team, wasn't dominant last year. Marginally more like better this year, average this year. But man, Philadelphia Eagles covering 6.5 points on the road against the Commanders. Also, Riverboat Ron is, I think, kind of on his way out over there in Washington. Doesn't seem to have a really great understanding of what's going on inside his locker room or on his team. Nick Sirianni does, but these are professional athletes at the end of the day. At 6.5 points on the road, it's hard to make a lot of money betting on 6.5 point road favorites. So I'm going to lay off of it. James, what do you think?
Absolutely agree. You know, we're talking about coaches that people aren't happy with what they're saying. Jack Del Rio still yeah, still the defensive coordinator in Washington, so don't want any part of this. I'm staying off of it as well.
Brilliant, Mr. Anthony.
I got to stay off of this one too, man. Like it's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be a surprisingly close game. Either way, I just don't want any part in this one.
Yeah, you know what this game feels like to me is an under game, and I would kind of think that, except I think Jalen Hurts is all the way back. So yeah, there's no side of this game that I can even talk myself into. Mr. Andrew, what do you think?
Guys, where are the cojones in this room? We are talking about the Washington Commanders, a coach who's probably going to get fired. This is all the trappings of a trap game. I'm staying the hell away from this. Just like Jack Del Rio on January 6th.
Wait, did you just say we don't have balls and then say you don't have any balls to bet? Like, just to clarify, no one on this panel has balls.
You guys are a bunch of pussies, including myself. I am also staying off of this game.
I mean, the Commanders played the Eagles close every time, it seems like. And I just don't want to be on this wheel when it turns on red. So, no, I'm out on this.
That is so emotionally, right? The Eagles coming off of a big emotional win finally look like they have it all the way together. But even so, I don't think they're feeling themselves yet. They're, what are they, 6-1? They still have one loss. They've been humbled already this season. Yeah, there's nothing there for me to make myself feel really, really excited about the situation. Miles, how do you feel about it?
I'm going to go ahead and start by saying there's going to be a very disappointing amount of no-brainers this week because I just don't feel like there's a lot of matchups that lead for it. This one I really wanted to be a no-brainer because of how much I've shit on the Washington Commanders and the fact that the Philly Eagles are 6-1. But I feel like in both cases, it's a weird situation where it's like it's the Philadelphia Eagles and they're 6-1, but I'm still somehow not that impressed. And then it's the Washington Commanders, and I think they pretty much blow, but they've also had some pretty wild wins that I didn't expect. I do think the Eagles are going to cover this spread. I cannot, in good faith, recommend you bet money on that.
Yeah, so just a lean for you, Mr. Miles. Moving on to the next game. This will be my first pick of the gambling portion. We got the New England Patriots going to Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins coming off of another disappointing loss. They've played two really good teams this year, and they've come back with two, kind of tough losses so far to the Bills and the Eagles. Miami Dolphins, they've looked really, really great against everybody else. They put a lot of points against everybody else. New England Patriots, on the other hand, have just been a real up and down team. Last week, for me personally, I didn't see that coming. I did see them beating the Jets. That seemed pretty obvious to me. So they're kind of like a real up and down, topsy-turvy type team. And nothing that I saw last week in their win, made me super excited. I just felt like the Bills were really just shitting their pants in front of all of us. So for that reason, I'm going to have the Miami Dolphins minus 9.5. Call me crazy. Taking 9.5. They're at home. What have they done all season? Absolutely murder shitty teams. What are the Patriots? An absolutely shitty team. So why wouldn't the Dolphins put up 55 on the Patriots playing a noon game in Miami? Just seems like something, Miles, I don't have to think too much about to make that wager. I'll leave it to James, though. James, what do you have on the Patriots and the Dolphins?
I'm sorry, I'm getting an itch. I feel Bill Belichick and plus points. You got to stay away from it. I've got to stay away from it. I've hit my jackpot already with the Patriots last week. God, could you imagine if I bet the money line on that? That would have been fun. But I agree with you. This is a comeback down to earth game. It's in Miami. It's a noon game. The sun is going to be shining right on the Sun's sidelines. Bill Belichick might come out of there with a sunburn because he doesn't like the light anyway since he's a vampire. Quite frankly, we might lose Bill Belichick. He might combust in the middle of the game, which would be a very big disadvantage for the Patriots. So I agree with you. I lean very hard on the Dolphins.
James, as his familiar, is like really like fingers crossed for that.
If Bill Belichick disintegrates on the sideline, that is a free roll on the Dolphins side of things for sure. Like that's the definition of a free roll. Sorry, James, go ahead.
But I'm staying clear of it. I just can't in good conscience bet a 9.5 when I'm just not 100% sure on if this Dolphin team wants to come out to play or not. There's all these distractions in Miami, but I think if I'd lean something, I'd lean the over. I think Miami scores maybe all of those points themselves, but I just can't lay a 9.5. So that's my lean on it.
Beautiful. Love it. Send it over to Mr. Anthony Ramos.
Well, James, I'm sure on this. I'll lean on the 9.5 for Miami. I think Miami's going to come into this pissed off. They're going to be wanting to prove a point. It's kind of going to be – the Patriots are just going to be a punching bag for them at this point. We've seen what they can do at home, and they haven't really – have they done bad at home? I don't think they've done bad at home just yet. So
I don't think so. I think am I right? Both of those Miami losses are on the road to the Eagles and the Bills. Is that right?
Yeah. So
is it? Okay.
I think at home they're just going to decimate the Patriots. I don't hesitate in taking that 9.5 spread.
Okay. So Anthony is recommending 9.5 for the Miami Dolphins. Andrew.
I'm staying away from this game. Looking at the forecast here, 58% chance of rain, a high of 84. So it could be a wet track out there for Tyreek. Bill Belichick doesn't seem to
wind updates there, Andrew.
I don't see any wind here, but I imagine if there's rain out there, probably a little bit of wind. Plus, Belichick likes to triple team Tyreek. Jalen Waddle's come off a back injury, and just kind of stay away.
Yeah, Bill Belichick certainly does a good job about taking out one of your weapons, but when you're in the Miami Dolphins, you got a lot more.
You got a lot of weapons.
Hey, if they had Achane, I'd be all over this. But
oh yeah, are you kidding me? I mean, I think Mostert will do fine. Heading it off to Mr. Miles.
This one, I really want to go with the Miami Dolphins at 9.5. The weather update makes me less confident in that. The Miami Dolphins in general sometimes make me less confident in that. They're very I feel like they're just a very explosive team, but it's just like there's a lot of duds on those fuses as well. I was disappointed in them this last week against the Eagles. I do feel like there was some referee issues that went their way against the Dolphins that were pretty significant. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I also just don't feel like the Dolphins got the job done. And for whatever reason, while the New England Patriots have been consistently making our bottom 5 in our power rankings, they also have a weird habit of shutting down really strong offenses. So for that reason, I'm staying away from this one.
Brilliant. Moving on to the next one on the list, the New York Jets. MetLife at the New York Giants. I would expect Daniel Jones to be playing this game now. He was kind of like a game time decision. Not really. Like he was declared out, like I think 24 hours before the game. But they were taking their time declaring him out. If Tyrod Taylor plays like James gambled on last week, I don't think it really makes a difference either way. I think they're both super competent. And they're both likely to have a good game. They're both, likely to also just totally blow up and disintegrate. The New York Jets are 2-point favorites. I mean, it's not a road game, right? It's in MetLife. They share that stadium. It'll be 50-50. It's not going to be loud in there for either team. And I think I like the Jets in this game, although the Giants did look great last week. Maybe they plummet back down to earth. Oof. I think I'm going to lay off of this for now, but I might circle back on this game and recommend it if I don't think I got enough action before then. James, what do you think?
Oh, I am all in on the Giants for this game. I think
really
the New Jersey Jets, because let's be honest, MetLife is not even in New York. Right. And weird. The New Jersey Giants are both such crap on both sides. I think, again, this is just a 50-50 toss-up. I'll take plus 120, plus 125. Take Giants anytime you get any plus in this game. It's a coin flip. Take the plus money here.
Yeah, you know what, James? I'm really coming around to your thought process here because this does feel. If I leaned the Giants, I think you are right. I think if you lean the Giants plus 2.5 it's not at home, but if you lean Giants plus 2.5, just take the plus money. Because if you lean that way, you're like it's 50% chance they're going to win the game outright, and I'm getting paid off plus money, so I only have to hit the bet whatever 48% of the time or 42% of the time, whatever the math adds up to make a profit in the long run. So yeah, James, you're a brilliant gambler, and that's why you're fucking red hot, buddy. Speaking of being red hot, Anthony Ramos, what do you think about this one?
What a terrible game. Just what a terrible game, dude. Like, this game is the equivalent of watching two monkeys trying to Eiffel Tower a bowling ball, dude. It's just, don't bet your money on this game. Don't even watch this. Like, there's literally, if you're in New York, I know you're not a fan of either one of these teams right now.
Jets are 3-3.
They're still terrible. They're still the fucking Jets.
Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be walking with a limp in 3 days. All right, bud? Like
that doesn't mean shit for this game, dude. They're not going to be doing anything.
It does.
I don't like this game. I'm staying away from it. Terrible.
How dare you disparage the Jets? They're the greatest football team on the planet. Moving on to Mr. Andrew. What do you got on this game, buddy?
I mean, are you guys kidding me? Robert Salah, the great sandwich artist that he is with a bye week. I'm going all in on the Jets.
Wow.
2.5. And I'm going under. This is one of my parlay specials of the week. I don't care if you got Daniel Jones on a bad neck or Tyrod and his poor clock management. I'm going Jets. I am feeling Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson scoring 17 points. It's going to be a great week for the Jets offense. They will continue to stay red hot and not score over 20 points and still win.
By the way, Jets last 3 games, lose to the Chiefs by 3 points, beat the Broncos by 10, beat the Eagles by 6, have a bye week, and now they're playing the Giants.
Yeah. The mastermind that is Salah. Let's go.
I love it, mister. So you are recommending Jets minus 2.5?
And under.
And the under 36.5.
Oh, yeah. They're going to score under 20 points and still win this game comfortably.
Oof. That's a hot take there, Mr. Andrew. Miles, what do you got for us on this game?
This is my Special Olympics game of the week for sure. It's 2 very bad teams going up against each other.
The Jets aren't that bad.
So that's what I was going to say. When I look at these 2, the Jets aren't as bad as the Giants. I agree with you there. I would rather have a quarterback that looks like he's repenting more than one that looks like he's just scared of everything. But
he's only scared playing the Cowboys.
He's scared of every defense ever. Look at his eye. He's scared when he's doing well. He's scared that he's going to somehow fuck up a 30-point lead if he ever had one. He's scared constantly, dude. He's a just terrified quarterback. Regardless of that, I do think that the Jets are going to beat the Giants. I guess the most logical thing is what James said is like this does kind of feel like a really dumb coin flip. So go with the line that's going to make you the most money.
I'm going to recommend the Jets minus 2.5 as an official pick. Moving on to the Rams and the Cowboys. Cowboys coming off of a bye. Rams looking better each week. Sometimes Cooper Kupp, sometimes Puka Nacua. It was Puka Nacua last week. Puka Nacua really reminding me body control-wise, hands-wise, as kind of like a Garrett Wilson. Not as good of a separator, probably a little bit better against the zone, nowhere near as good against the man coverage as Garrett Wilson, in my opinion. But man, is he looking great. They can move the ball. What is the Achilles heel to this Rams offense? A good pass rush. What do the Cowboys have? A good pass rush. And matchup-wise, that's a lot of points against a decent Rams football team. So that is why I am going to take the team total Rams under on this one. They're not going to be able to move the football. I'm not convinced the Cowboys will be able to move the football enough to score 6.5 points more than the Rams in this game. So I'm going to take the Rams team total under in this one, whatever that is. Current line, give it to me. James, give me your opinion on this game.
Oh, man. Talk about battle for stadiums trying to host the FIFA World Cup with the Rams. Fortunately, Rams owner just came out and said he won't be making the changes FIFA requires. So we've got a good chance for the World Cup final now being in Dallas.
Okay. I'll allow you to talk about soccer on my podcast, but fucking
it's technically football to everybody else in the world. So if this is a football podcast, we got to talk about
the
football.
People that accidentally tuned in overseas are finally like, thank you for talking about the thing you advertised. Yeah.
James has done it. Oh, man. Shout out to the Rams for having the 2 Georgia quarterbacks in the league and then losing one to rehab too as well. Just saying.
Has that officially been announced or have I just been saying that because that's obviously what's happening?
It's not official, but we all know about it.
He's in rehab. He's an alcoholic. Yeah.
He's not even on the practice squad currently. All that being said, I think Stafford's got something. I really do. I really think Stafford's got something here. And let's be honest, it's the Cowboys. I would love to get a number better than 6.5, so that's why I'm staying away from it. But perhaps, depending on who you gamble with, there might be a better line available if you know somebody in the Plano, Irving area. So I would recommend that number if you can get it. But at 6.5, don't take it. But at a friendlier line, I'd probably take the Rams there.
Yeah. So what's the Plano number out to 9.5, James?
Probably 8.5 to 9.
Holy fuck!
Local PPHs have a big point swing, especially when you're talking about teams like Dallas Cowboys, where everybody who's a local person is going to be gambling on them inadvertently. I mean, great place to be a bookie, let's be honest. But if you're smart, you can take advantage of those things.
Yeah. So let's start a mafia operation here and just be a bookie yourself, right? Anthony Ramos, you'll be our kingpin. What do you think about this game?
I think that the Rams do come to Dallas and beat Dallas. Reason why I say that is because Dallas has been struggling a little bit in their secondary, and the Rams have Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Now, obviously, yes, the Cowboys do have one of the better defensive lines in the league, and the Rams have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. But if they're able to run some checkdowns, I think that the Rams are going to be able to actually come out with a win here. That being said, take the Rams on the money line, plus 220. I like those odds.
Wow, a plus 220 underdog recommendation. Rams win.
Andrew, how do you feel about those cojones? Are we good with the amount of balls being presented on this podcast now?
Hey, I love that. I love that. I mean, that's a man who has not had testicular cancer. I love it.
Rams plus 220. Yeah, I don't think the Rams, like what you said, though, I don't think the Rams are great as a check down team, Anthony Ramos. And that's why I think I'm taking the Rams team total under. Either way, Andrew, what do you think?
This one's going to be a stay away from me. I'm supposed to go to this game this Sunday. In the back of my mind, I want to root against the Dallas Cowboys, but I also want to enjoy my $22 beers and $42 nachos. So, I think it's stay away from this game.
I think watching the Cowboys lose in their own stadium is actually more fun than them winning, for the record. Cowboys fans never allowed during the game on third down. They're quiet. But, hey, when they're walking down that tunnel, those crackheads will get going. Mr. Miles, what do you think?
I think that instead of buying a ticket to the Cowboys game, you should just go to Live Nation. It's so much more fun, and they don't charge as much for their alcohol. But this isn't sponsored by them. So, or I'm sorry, is it Texas Live? I don't know. It's the free place next door. It's a lot
Texas
more fun.
Live,
and dog friendly for what it's worth. It's more fun for sure. But regardless, I've mentioned on this podcast before, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are arguably the worst team in the NFL to gamble on. They are so unpredictable. We're coming off a bye week. Is that a good thing? A bad thing? I have no idea. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to stay away from this one.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to bet the Rams plus 6.5 or the Cowboys minus 6.5. Rather, I'd rather just bet the side that I think the matchup is on, and that's why I'm kind of taking the high road on not betting on the Cowboys, but kind of betting on the Cowboys at the same time. Moving on to our next 12 o'clock game, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are a good football team, are going into Pittsburgh to face the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are not a good football team. What do the Jags have trouble doing? Rushing the passer. What do they do a great job at? Intercepting footballs, second most interceptions in the league thus far. They are 2.5-point favorites on the road at Pittsburgh. They're on an absolute tear. Nothing slowing them down. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars minus 2.5 here against the Pittsburgh Steelers in their own arena. Mr. James, what do you think?
I totally disagree with you on this one. Not only does Kenny Pickett have a rule named after him, having invented the fake QB slide. This man went to Pittsburgh. He's playing in Pittsburgh. He's a yinzer. I would have this line at -3 on a neutral site. I very much like Pittsburgh at home. There's not much else to do in Pittsburgh besides make steal and yell at Steelers games. So I like plus 124 on this one. I really like him at home. I'm a big believer in Kenny Pickett. I'm a big believer in George Pickens. I think they figure it out this week. I'm not super enthralled with Jacksonville's secondary. I think Pickens can manhandle him, especially in the red zone where you get a little more contact going on. So I'm going to take the Steelers on this one. It's going to be close. But I really like that plus money line.
Yeah, every time I see the Jags, they just keep on getting better and better. And I thought the whole trip to Europe was more of a fluke than anything. But now I'm just thinking maybe they're a good football team. And that's why I think they're going to beat the piss out of the Steelers in their own arena. That's just my thought on it. Granted, Steelers, tough barn to play in. Not easy to get wins there. Anthony, what do you think?
I think James is stuck in the Polamalu era of the Steelers right now. I think the Jaguars are going to go in and beat the piss out of the Steelers. I like that spread, that -2.5. That's a really easy bet there. So if you're a betting man, bet the spread on Jacksonville -2.5.
So we got Anthony -2.5. We got James money line for the Steelers. Mr. Andrew, what do we got out of you, buddy?
I actually like the over in this game. The Pittsburgh offense kind of makes a few explosive plays a game. They're probably going to be good for at least 21 points. But their secondary is really weak. Like Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr., this is a good comeback week for Calvin Ridley. They only had one catch last week. So I just see a revenge game. He could be carving them up. But I see a high-scoring game. I really do. I think along the lines of 27-24.
Okay. So, Mr. Andrew taking the over. We all have got gambling recommendations on this game so far. Mr. Miles, what do you think?
This one, I feel like the Jacksonville Jaguars have it all day at -2.5. I'm still not feeling the no-brainer yet. I feel like points have been made. There's been so many teams that I felt early on were trash that have suddenly been okay, maybe I was a little early to judge. So I feel confident. I would bet on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I would think about it for a second. So I guess it's technically not a no-brainer.
Yeah, not a no-brainer. You do have to go through a whole thought process. And I think the thought process is getting over Mike Tomlin at home getting points. That's tough to overcome.
The terrible towel is an intimidating piece of merch.
Yeah, it is. It's transcendent. It's annoying. But they got their own thing, so good for them. Good for the Steelers, but I'm taking the Jags. And, we're honestly all up against James, red-hot gambler right now. If I were at home, if I were to make a recommendation to you at home, I would recommend that you do not listen to me. You do not listen to Miles.
That's my first advice for anytime I give advice. My first piece of advice is do not take advice from a person like me. Have you seen my life position? You should not do that.
I'll probably back James on this one.
Dude, look at his wall. Obviously, don't take advice from him. Jesus Christ.
True story. That's the smartest thing Anthony Ramoz has ever said.
Yeah, for real. Lots of holes in that wall. Anyways, moving on to to the next one. The Minnesota Vikings are facing the Green Bay Packers. A 1-point spread was like our no-brainer from last week for the Packers. They're now at home and they're underdogs. And why wouldn't they be? They've looked absolutely horrible. Jordan Love has looked absolutely horrible. Felt like it took the NFL 2.5 games to figure him out, which is nerve-wracking. Granted, Aaron Jones has got to be back at some point at 100%. They got to start giving him the ball 15, 20, 25 times in the game because he is the Green Bay offense. That's it. I know. He opens up a lot for Christian Watson. He opens up a lot for Romeo Doubs. But without Aaron Jones going, I don't know, maybe if Aaron Jones is full participation, no injury designation going into this game, I'm probably going to go ahead and hit the Packers because I think he is that valuable. But until then, on Tuesday night when we're recording, I'm laying off of it. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you. Jordan Love is fallen off the map based off of last year and what we've seen. The colder it gets, the worse he gets. Even though he played at North Dakota State, they do have an indoor stadium, so I don't like him a lot in cold weather. It's going to hit 47, about 25% chance of rain. I think this Viking team has a really good chance of coming in there and just absolutely demolishing the Packers. I was able to grab them at plus 115. That is why I took them. Minus 115, I wouldn't take them. So I think it's a coin flip game in my opinion. So if you can get plus money on either side, take plus money. I was able to find a good line for the Vikings earlier on yesterday at plus 115. So I really like the Vikings here. I think Kirk might be in his mood and might get another chain after the game.
So James, do you check the lines pre-game and lock in a profit if you can get plus money on the Packers side of things too?
Not really. When I do that, it's because like this week, right, I had a teaser where the Niners were the last leg and they were Niners plus 3. Usually I would go ahead and take the plus money of the other team in that kind of situation. But when it's a situation like this, unless it's a major injury change, major news coming out, I don't really change it. You can lock in profits, but if you're going to lock them in, I would lock them in later in the week, right? If you have a Sunday night game, you've taken plus money on a Sunday night game late, then bet the other side, guarantee your profit after you've already had a profitable day. If you're not having a profitable day, don't double down. Don't try and unstack your losses. Only take that kind of out if you're really in a position where you're like, okay, I've had a great week. I would like to just be at this great week. I don't need to do anything else. So not very often do I do that. I will only do that when I have teasers, things like that, or if I have future bets as well, right? If you've got somebody who's going to win the Super Bowl, they're in the Super Bowl against a team that's an underdog, absolutely hedge that, guarantee your profit in those situations. But week to week, not as much. Got you.
Good stuff out of you, Mr. James. What stuff are we getting out of you, Mr. Anthony?
I don't like this game. Now normally this is a really good rivalry. This is a historic rivalry, battle of the Midwest, battle of the cheese curds or whatever the fuck. But right now in the state of both of these teams, like how the New York Jets and the New York Giants were two monkeys trying to Eiffel Tower a bowling ball, these two monkeys are trying to help them get unstuck from the bowling ball. So I don't want to bet on this because I don't like the money lines on any of them, on any of these bets. I think all the money lines kind of suck. I think both these, granted the Vikings are on an upswing and the Packers are kind of driving into the ground. If you're smart, you want to bet on the Vikings winning, but at minus 115, I'm not going to put my money on that. So I'm just going to stay away from this one.
Yeah, I do wonder what the look-ahead line was on this game before the Vikings win on Monday night, because if it's swaying in a big direction, that might just be a total overreaction. And that's why, I want to bet on the Packers. If I do get some sort of validation that Aaron Jones' hamstring is back to 100% and the Packers are going to use him at 100% Aaron Jones capacity, I think I really like the Packers, but I need that injury update before I'm going to put my money on the line. Mr. Andrew, where are you putting your money?
I am actually going with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm considering making a bet, a long shot bet, but I think the Vikings are going to win the NFC North Division. They're plus 550 right now.
It's outrageous.
At this point last year, Jacksonville was 2-5. They ended up winning that division. I see the same thing out of the Vikings. Kirk Cousins has so many Coles dollars. He is spending them like crazy. He's on a hot streak right now, guys. I'm telling you.
It's an overreaction.
The Vikings will be holding that trophy at the end of the season of the NFC North.
James, you were nodding your head. Unmute yourself. Defend yourself. Why do you think the Vikings are going to win?
Hit that button first off, James. You got to hit that button. We brought the button. That's a hot take. No, I like the number. I like the number. 550 and above for a division that honestly sucks. If the Vikings teams can figure it out, there's not that much that's changed from last year. I think they don't have the hardest through. Detroit Lions are going to be the only people who could get through with them. I honestly would probably go with make the playoff bet just to hedge it a little bit, but I like the number. I don't think it's an unrealistic possibility. And if you're going to get 550 for it, I mean, at the end of the season, it's going to be Viking versus Lions for this division, in my opinion. So if you get 550, I don't think it's the worst.
What's the Lions line right now? It's minus what? Minus 155.
I bet they're at minus 215 if Vikings are at 550.
Yeah, if we could get that up, that would be something interesting to me. Or if you have a ticket plus money, which no, you don't, because they were favored to win the division preseason. I just think the Vikings are way too far behind in this race. Granted, they do play the Lions twice, so maybe they do beat the Lions twice, one on the road, one at home.
Minus 400 for the Lions right now.
Minus 400, yeah, okay.
Minus
so
400.
there's no way
overpriced.
They are overpriced, but there's no way to get around them. But they're that price because the Lions are going to win this division. The Ravens are a good team. They're probably a top 5 football team, and the Lions went and got their ass beat. I think that's just an overreaction when we were all talking about the Lions being the best team in the NFL. I still think they're a top 3 team in the NFL, especially after seeing what San Francisco did this week. Probably Eagles are number 1 in our power rankings if we do the power ranking segment this week. Bills are beatable. And if you look at the Lions upcoming, I mean, granted, so do the Vikings. Vikings have a very easy schedule coming up too, but the Lions do too. And the Lions just have just what feels like an insurmountable lead. Even at that value, I don't love it, Andrew, but I do love you and I do love Miles. What do you think?
I think with the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers, their performances last weekend from both sides, it's putting me right at the edge of making this a no-brainer. But I'll be honest, I have my tail tucked a little bit in between my legs after last week. The Minnesota Vikings performed on Monday. They showed off. They showed that, hey, we actually do contend in this league. The Green Bay Packers, on the other hand, I feel had every opportunity to be great and literally gave the game away at the end. The big difference on this game is that they're playing in Lambeau, which we all know is a whole special place and whatnot. I'm not going to no-brainer it just yet, but I would strongly encourage a bet for Minnesota Vikings to cover a -1 spread.
Okay, so that is an official recommendation, not a Miles Francis no-brainer bet of the week. Haven't seen it yet. We saw, I think, 2 or 3 last week. So we'll see if we find one later on. The Houston
I'll go ahead and cut you off right there, Jamie. It's this match right here. The Houston Texans coming off of a bye week against the winless Carolina Panthers with only 3 points to the favor. The Houston Texans will definitely cover this game. This is not the week that the Carolina Panthers are suddenly going to remember that they are technically part of a professional football league.
And also kind of a revenge game for CJ Stroud over Bryce Young, the first overall draft pick, versus the second overall, right? CJ was the second overall. Do I got that right? Yeah. 3 points on the road. Granted, no one's ever scared going and playing fucking Carolina. Not in this decade, right? So I love that no-brainer bet of the week out of Miles Francis, but I am not going to recommend it. It is a battle of 2 rookie quarterbacks. Adam Thielen looks absolutely incredible. If anything, I'm taking a quick, sweet little peek at Adam Thielen's total receptions, and I am betting the over because I think they're going to try to pump him up and sell him off to somebody before the trade deadline. And I think the Houston Texans are the team to let that happen. Granted, they can't stop the run. They can historically stop the pass, but I'm laying off this game sidewise. James, what are you thinking?
I would like it to be noted that I've been saying for a while that Adam Thielen was going to have a good year this year.
Have you been?
Lived up to expectations. Oh, for sure. You don't remember this every day in Monday and Wednesday class.
So much so that you stopped listening.
Come on.
I remember you ever saying okay.
Also, speaking of places where if Russell Wilson went there and had to say the saying or the theme for the team, Carolina Panthers would be my number one with keep pounding. Could you imagine Russell Wilson saying that? I don't think he even utters that at night. That might be his first time saying that in his life. I actually very much like the Panthers here. They have to win a game at some point. I think Texans have the ability to be that team. It's a plus money bet, so I like that. I'm taking the Panthers with the plus money line here.
I've never been so less confident in a no-brainer bet for what it's worth, but I'm happy to hear it.
He had to get it out of his system. He was like, we're almost to the 3:00 games. I need to have a no-brainer.
Yeah, dude, I feel like people would be disappointed in me if I didn't at this point.
James, I mean, you're turning me, man. I love the idea of just taking the money line here, plus 130. It's like, yeah, like what? It's a 50-50 chance. Why wouldn't I? They're at home. Adam Thielen revenge game.
They got to win at some point.
They got to win at some point. And that's, really all you need to say. What do you have to say, Anthony?
Yeah, they got to win at some point, but they're not going to beat a red-hot Texans team right now. The Texans are
red-hot?
They're on a 4-win streak, Jamie. The Carolina Panthers are coming off a bye after doing nothing all year. Yeah, Adam Thielen's having a great fucking season, but what has that amounted to? Nothing. CJ Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks, like one of the best rookie quarterbacks we've seen in a long time. And I don't see a Carolina defense stopping him or anybody stopping him right now. I think that the Texans are going to go in and just mop the floor with the Panthers, just like everybody's mopped the floor with the Panthers. Why would it change? Just because the money line is plus 130? It doesn't make any sense. Take the spread on the Texans, -3. I agree with Miles. This is a no-brainer. It's just such an easy pick.
I've never felt less confident about a no-brainer since Anthony Ramos agreed with me.
No, I'll tell you, I think the Texans are going to go in and win this with ease. I like the spread on this -3 in Texas, favor the Texans.
Andrew?
I'm gonna unveil the cojones pick of the week. I too roll the money line Panthers because you know what? Frank Wright, he might get fired if they lose this game. I'm dead serious.
Gotta win something.
David Tepper has fuck you money. And what's the point of having fuck you money if you can't say fuck you? I'm going Panthers, money line. I'm thinking Bryce Young finally rebounds, proves to people why he was a Heisman Trophy quarterback and considered, a pretty elite talent coming out. Plus, I don't think the Texans pass rush is very formidable, which is a big issue over the Panthers, who has a weak offensive line. So maybe they're getting things ironed out in the bye week, but I'll take it. Give me Thielen. Give me whoever lines up behind Bryce this week. Is it Chuba? Is Chuba playing or is it Miles? But I guess it's
Miles. Yeah,
I think Miles is back this week, but Chuba looked good last week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about betting Panthers because you're right. They got to win at some point, and why wouldn't it be this week? They know they don't have many opportunities to win this season. They know they have to take advantage of every opportunity they get, and this is a massive one here.
If they lose this game, Frank Wright just might get canned on the spot.
Yeah, I agree.
The Lane Kiffin fired on the tarmac level firing. That would be exciting.
Yeah. Let's not forget 2 weeks ago, he threw the owner under the bus. And he was like, we have these meetings all the time. It's real insightful. It's like, geez, dude.
Yeah. Well, okay. Moving on. Atlanta Falcons, Tennessee Titans, the Falcons, Desmond Ridder, Drake London. Hey, look out. He's getting pretty hot here. They are under investigation from the NFL for hiding the fact that Bijan Robinson had like a splitting headache on Saturday, didn't report it, and then he was active, expected to start.
DraftKings refunded a prop bet on his running yards this week. That's how serious that situation was taken.
Yeah, and like it's not college. You're really supposed to report those sort of things. Even if it's just like a questionable designation, like illness, just like you're supposed to throw those up there because that was bizarre. Granted, they did win without Bijan Robinson. The Atlanta Falcons did last week. Any win the Falcons get is an impressive win, in my opinion. Tennessee Titans, Vrabel at home. They already traded away Byard to the Eagles, their safety. They're trading assets away. They have a good coach, though, and they are getting points at home. And the Falcons stink. But the Falcons can stop the run, but can they stop Derrick Henry? Can they stop Treylon Burks? Is this a Ryan Tannehill week? Are we overreacting to what we saw last week, and that's why the Titans are getting points at home? I think that's the case. So I'm going to take Tennessee, and I'm going to take 2.5 points. Mike Vrabel getting points at home. I'll say it now. I think Mike Vrabel might be the new Bill Belichick in the league, just kind of willing teams into mediocrity when they should just be absolutely fucking horrible. James, what do you think?
Oh, man. Definitely not a look that the NFL wants to keep having is hiding head injuries. That seems like something they don't want to keep going back to. So I do think the Falcons might be in some pretty deep shit over this one, if I'm being honest. But luckily there's no penalties for this weekend. So I think the team total over 19.5 for the Falcons, I think that's great. I think this Titans defense losing their leader, probably not going to play very well. Falcons actually seem pretty good on offense. Maybe Bijan plays. Maybe they figured something out. I like over 19.5. I don't like them to win the game, but I think they're going to score at least 21 points. So over 19.5 team total, I'll take it.
How many troubles do you think they're going to get into for not reporting that? Is that I don't even know.
I think the precedent would be a draft pick and cash compensation at this point. Probably not as high as a second round pick, but a fourth or a fifth. You got to look at the optics of this too. We're hiding a head injury, which is something that the NFL
is that what it was? A head injury? Because
a migraine.
But the thing is, he played. He started. He actually took snap. I don't know. I feel like that's a really weird. Like, I especially with how integrated the NFL is with sports betting. I feel like it's a really weird situation that's happening. But like, technically, he started. Technically, he played downs. It's weird to think that they're going to have an extreme punishment when he just played less than people expected. I mean,
it feels like a fine.
Under those standards, like what happened with the Arizona running backs this last? I know James Conner's out, but like they can't decide who's their second string. It's a weird situation.
The optics are always going to be what the media picks out on. So I agree with you. Precedent would be odd based on other teams, but considering how much media attention this is getting, that definitely would weigh into what the punishment may or may not be. Because if the people are outraged, the NFL is probably going to have to make an example.
The fantasy
DraftKings lost money, so they're obviously not going to be happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. How are they going to go to the next big The League sitcom?
We should do that.
If Bijan remembers to take Advil before this game, I think he's going to do just fine. I don't see the Titans stopping him or Algier or Cordarrelle Patterson. I don't see the Titans stopping a fucking runny nose. The Titans just look horrible. They're just not a good team. They're trading away all their assets. They're obviously going for a rebrand. I think Atlanta's going to go in there and just absolutely decimate them. I take the money line on this in favor of Atlanta -130. I think that's a pretty easy bet right there.
I don't see Atlanta decimating anybody. Did you just recommend a -130 bet? You're not allowed to.
Oh, why?
Because I don't allow it in my podcast.
Well, I just did.
You have to take the spread. Okay, so Anthony officially recommends -2.5. Moving on to Mr. Andrew. What do you think?
Well, first off, I think everyone has not mentioned the big cat in the how to have or whatever. Ryan Tannehill's not playing, guys. So you're starting Malik Willis. No, he has like a high ankle sprain. He's out.
I didn't know that.
So Tennessee is rolling out either Malik Willis, who was one of the most uninspiring, inaccurate quarterbacks I've seen in the past 4 years, besides Nathan Peterman, or Will Levis, who I don't know what that guy is, but from what I saw in preseason, he's throwing hospital balls all day, all night. Even with or without Bijan Robinson and his brain tumor, I'm taking the Falcons. Easy. Also, you guys haven't seen my son today. I had to give him medicine. He had his legs broken because he had Bijan Robinson's DFS team that did not do very well because my man got 11 snaps and 1 carry. That's not good for DFS team. So I'm going Falcons.
Yeah, you're right. So both Will Levis and Malik Willis expected to play. So they're going to bring in Will Levis as a Taysom Hill. They're just going to pound. They're just going to pound Will Levis. So if
have you seen Will Levis play? First off, have you seen Will Levis play? He is no Taysom Hill. Oh no, he is no Taysom Hill.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. No,
yes,
he's not. He's like shittier Sam Darnold with tats. He's shitty, man. Get out of here. Get out of here with that.
Acting like Taysom Hill is a superstar quarterback in the league. No, he's Taysom Hill. He can run the football. I'm going to change my recommendation. If there is a Will Levis rushing total over that you can find, hammer the over. I'm sure it'll be 9.5 yards. Or whatever. It'll be, he's going to get a carry. There's no way he doesn't get a carry. It just makes sense. They're both going to play. Moving on, Miles, what do you think?
This is another one of those. It's such a tight line. I don't really love either team. I do feel like the fact that Atlanta can win when their best player is too high or whatever. I feel like that makes me want to root for Atlanta over Tennessee because Tennessee has been just real, real bad this year. But that's just a lean, not a bet.
Okay. So shout out to your host not knowing the starting quarterback was injured, but why would I know that Ryan Tannehill wouldn't be playing this game? Moving on to the last noon game on the slate. New Orleans Saints are going into Indianapolis in the raucous Indianapolis crowd. Gardner Minshew looked great against the Browns last week. So do we overreact to that? And do we bet the Colts here against an average Saints team? Alvin Kamara seems to be getting it together, but so is Jonathan Taylor on the side of the Colts. The Colts had some sweet uniforms they played in against the Browns. They did get cheated by the referees. So there's got to be a reason for that. I don't think you get cheated by the referees on behalf of the Cleveland Browns. There's got to be that was such a fishy call. Two fishy calls at the end of the game that basically decided the game on behalf of the Browns against the Colts at home last week. Colts minus 1.5 points. Saints getting 1.5 points. The over/under is 43.5. Chris Olave is getting bailed out of jail right now as we speak. For a speed
ticket. Let's not go crazy. It's nothing crazy. He was going 70 and a 35. I've done that more than once.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want a Google Maps foot view of the street he was speeding on. If it's like a school zone situation where there's a crosswalk and shit, and it's a 35 down the middle of fucking
the way that the cops reacted, it must be their fucking rivals because they're really throwing this guy under the bus. It's apparently they uploaded the footage of his arrest on YouTube, and it's the first video they posted in 5 years.
This police department was so bored.
They're just hey,
we got him.
It's a celebrity. And to be fair, Olave did be man, I played for the Saints, and the arresting officer was and so I go with fuck the police on this one for sure. That's my bet all day.
Miles taking the under on the police per usual. Moving on to the 3:00 time slate.
Can we just talk about that? If you're ever going to speed in a city, it can't be New Orleans because they have the most potholes of any city I have ever been in. Oh my God. How did he not destroy
if you value your suspension, you will not drive fast through that city.
Yeah.
But this street definitely, I'm looking at the body cam video right now, and this street does give the vibe of like a street that should be 55.
It's called a speed trap, and it's worse for certain members of our society. I'll let you dig into that.
Yeah, I mean, if he was a defensive back, but they just hate wide offensive weapons in the Kenner County Police Department. Anyways, the Cleveland Browns and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are good. The Browns suck. Give me the Seahawks. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Deshaun Watson, his bullshit. Coach Stefanski already said he's going to start. Deshaun got his second fake MRI, came back negative, concussion, totally fine. I posted on my Twitter all 5 of his throws last week. Even on the throw he did make, he had David Njoku wide open in space over the middle, which you love. David Njoku wide open with space over the middle 10 times out of 10. Missed Goodwin wide open deep, should have been a touchdown. On his first interception of what should have been 2 interceptions, he scrambled, checked it down when I believe it was David Njoku and Amari Cooper, your 2 best weapons on offense, were wide open deep down the field, running free. They posted the all 22 yesterday night. Go look at it. Go look at the first quarter. I mean, PJ Walker, Browns were handed that win last week. Seattle Seahawks are a good fucking football team, and this is our chance to cash in on a good fucking football team at home in a real home stadium. Seattle Seahawks, my bet of the second quarter of the NFL season, my best bet recommendation for tonight and for the next 2 to 3 weeks. James, what do you think?
Yeah, -3 for sure. I can't steal the phrase from Miles, but you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we're not going to think too hard about this one. Anthony, are you thinking about this one, buddy?
I don't know, man. I don't really like this game either. I'm not confident enough in either team to really make a bet because the Browns could easily just go in and Seattle for some reason forgets how to play football. And I feel like whenever everyone is in agreement about something, then it usually goes wrong. I'm going to stay away from this one. But if I was going to put money on it, I kind of like the idea of an upset and that money line at 136.
Yeah.
Fuck it. But yeah, I'm not betting on this one.
Yeah, Myles Garrett could just get like another 14 points by himself in this game, and then I look like an idiot. But Andrew, what do you think?
This game has a feeling that Geno Smith's going to get knocked out because Myles Garrett or Zadarius Smith's going to land awkwardly on his back. And we're going to get Drew Lock, baby, which means you're going to get 2 pick sixes. However, since I can't predict the future and I don't get the script like James does, I will hold off. But, we got to watch the practice. Like, what if Deshaun doesn't play? If you told me PJ Walker would get a full week of practice, I wouldn't hate it. I will stay away until James reveals his script.
Now, if the Browns go ahead and get Russell Wilson before this game.
It's on, baby.
And his tagline is, who let the dogs out?
Legitimately taking a mortgage payment out and just putting it on the Browns +3 instantly. Come into town, Russ. Mr. Miles, what do you think?
I feel like the fact that we just agree that the Browns just do not have a quarterback, and it turns out that is in fact a pretty integral part of the whole offensive scheme. You've got to take the Seahawks with -3 on this one. This one is a no-brainer. Just Seahawks -3, move on.
Yeah, this might be a week where I just put all of that on Seahawks -3, just like, and put pennies on everything else. It's just, that's too good of a value to pass up on. Kansas City going into Denver. Kansas City feels like they're better every week. The Broncos have as well. The Broncos have improved. A lot of their players are rumored to get traded after this week. The Broncos are at home. getting 8 points. The Chiefs are great. Kelsey looks great. I feel like this is kind of like a get-right game for the Chiefs offense and a get-bad game for the Broncos defense. Granted, it is a divisional kind of matchup. They kind of tend to keep things close. So for that reason, I'm laying off of it. Could be a good game. I think the Chiefs and Taylor Swift and everybody handle this Broncos team, though. James, what do you think?
Well, as we all know, the Chiefs are – hold on. I'm getting a fax. It's from the league office. It's a script. And what does it say? It's a trap. It's a trap game for the Chiefs. They aren't making it out of Denver. They're going to be mile high. They're not even going to know where the ball is. Denver, I was able to grab this at plus 310 earlier in the week. That's a ridiculous number. Both of these teams are professional football teams. Plus 310. Denver. Let's make some money.
Wow. A plus 300 recommendation. I mean, we're seeing plus 285 on this screen. I'm sure if you shop this number around, you can get 310 or better currently. A plus 310 bet, a divisional game against the Chiefs, who the referees do not have to cheat for anymore because they're going to win the division no matter what the referees do the rest of the season. And you just said it. You got the script. And James, I got to be honest. I'm backing you. You're red hot. I'm taking Broncos money line. Let's fucking go. I'm all the way in. Anthony, are you? Where are you, buddy?
If the Broncos beat the Chiefs, then I'm going to make a potion out of everything under my sink and drink it, dude. It's
Wow, I've never been more of a Broncos fan.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think everyone's being a little wishful. I'm a Chargers fan, dude, okay? I get the hate on the Chiefs, but they're the Chiefs. All right, let's not forget that. And the Broncos are the Broncos. Their whole team is for sale for a reason. I don't see this going any other way. I don't want to bet money on the Chiefs, but if I was a betting man, I would take the -8 on this. I kind of like that. I kind of like those odds, but I'm not betting money on this game. But again, I really hope the Broncos don't win. It's just not a good look.
Anthony leaning Chiefs -8. Andrew.
Well, Mahomes does have a 12-game winning streak against the Broncos. I think the streak continues the other game. I was leaning towards the points, but I just can't in good conscience. I'd rather stay away from this.
Brilliant. Mr. Miles.
Dude, if it weren't for the fact that James makes so much more money than I do betting on sports, I'd call him a crackhead right now. That's just the facts. This is obviously a no-brainer. The Chiefs are going to decimate the Broncos.
Whoa!
The Broncos just beat the Green Bay Packers. Sorry, James, I don't know if you've heard. The Packers are not the Chiefs. And even with a shitty wide receiver like Kadarius Toney, they still have plenty of weapons. Even if Travis Kelce is playing with a lonely heart because Taylor isn't there, he'll still do 75 yards. It'll be fine. This is Chiefs all day.
That is a no-brainer Miles Francis bet of the week versus a insider NFL James script writer bet of the week. I got to be honest, I love being on the Broncos side. Now, granted, I am going to put most of that money on Broncos +8, but I'm going to sprinkle in that plus 300 wherever I can find it. Mr. James, I love the crossfire because that means that one of us is going to be right next week. Brag about it. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens and the Cardinals. The Ravens are 8-point favorites on the road. Lamar looks better and better each week. Mark Andrews looks better and better each week. Zay Flowers looks better and better each week. They're getting healthy offensively for the Baltimore Ravens. The Cardinals still have Josh Dobbs. They still have some good weapons on offense. Defensively, they're very mediocre. This 8-point spread feels exactly right to me. Mr. James, where are you on the Baltimore Ravens and the Cardinals?
Oh, man, that 8 is a tough one. I mean, if he teased it, maybe it makes more sense, but I just don't know. This is a Cardinals team that somehow beat the Cowboys at home. Baltimore looked great, but teams that looked great last week oftentimes have a fall off. They've given away a lot. I've been tempted by this Cardinals all week. I've thought about it all week. And granted, it's Tuesday, so that means one day. But it's tempting. It's very, very tempting. If this line moves any more against the Cardinals, we get 8.5, 9. If that 3.10 goes up anymore, I'm going to grab it. But right now, I'm holding off a little bit. I'm hoping it goes towards the Ravens a little more, and then I might grab it.
I think you muted yourself there, Jamie. I like this. I don't know. The spread is a little weird to me, the 8-point spread, but I'll tell you what isn't weird is that under 44. I kind of like that bet there. Because I think the Ravens are going to be scoring all the points in this game. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be able to really do much against the Ravens. So for that reason, I'm going to take the under 44 in this.
Anthony taking the under 44 on this game. Lamar's red hot. Maybe I'm overreacting to like the past 2 games. So I kind of like where your head's at there, Mr. Anthony Ramos. Andrew, where's your head at?
I'm actually all in on the Cardinals +8 this game.
Really?
We've seen it week over week in the NFL this season. The Cowboys roll through New York 70-10 after 2 games, only to drop to the Cardinals the week after. Miami Dolphins drop 60-something points on the Broncos, only to get their shit pushed in by Buffalo the week after.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo destroyed Miami, best team in the league. They're back, only to lose to Jacksonville. And then, this week or last week, Baltimore steamrolls the number 1 team on the What Are You Talking About with Jamie Jake's power ranking, the Detroit Lions. Buried them, shut down the Ford factory without the strike.
Murdered them.
So they're going to probably lose this week. I'm taking the Cardinals, the pesky team. Budda Baker should be playing. I just see a low-scoring game that, it's going to have, if they're going to win, they have to pull it out late. So I don't see any big blowout today. Also, the under, not bad. It's not a bad pick. I'm not going to take it, but I like it. So it's under.
Yeah. Andrew, you brought up a really good point, and I was kind of already alluding to it in my brain, talking about overreacting. Looking back to the time when I was actually a plus gambler, like I was doing well in gambling, I did a really good job of not overreacting to last week. I always faded what happened last week, especially when it happens in prime time, or especially when it's a big story that week, like the Ravens beating the Lions were. So I really, really do like you taking the Cardinals there. I think we do have to do a better job. I'm talking to myself, of not overreacting to week by week games. Miles, where are you at?
I'm kind of with you, the overreacting thing. On this one, it's more of a matter of I've seen both of these teams suck so much, and then I've also seen them crush their opponents, like this last weekend with the Ravens, or with week 2 or 3 with the Cardinals and the Cowboys. I don't want to be anywhere near this game because honestly, I don't think these teams know who they are. I don't have a chance of knowing who they are.
Yeah, it does feel like the Ravens are trending up in the right direction, but I'm probably overreacting. So we're moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals and the 49ers. Man, oh man, the Niners are back home after a 2-game losing streak on the road. It's hard to win on the road in the NFL. Brock Purdy, I mean, it's so annoying in media right now with Brock Purdy, because it's either like this guy is the 3rd best quarterback in the league, or this guy is the most overrated piece of shit. Like, no, he's good. He's like probably the 9th best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's great. The 49ers, Christian McCaffrey seems to be all the way back. Probably the most predictable outcome going into this season. They do have a little bit of concern there with the tackle position. I would look to see them get a little bit healthier there leading up to this game. And that's the real crux of the situation for me. I think I know what the Bengals are. I think the Bengals are an average defense and a really, 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 really good offense. I think Joe Burrow's all the way back. I don't think he needs to prove anything more to me as a gambler. I just need to know the injury report, and it's Tuesday night when we're recording, so I'm going to lay off of it. And even if Williams is healthy, I think I'm just going to lay off of it in general because 5.5 points against the Bengals right now. I don't like it, and I don't want to bet 5.5 points with the Bengals on the road in San Francisco. I'm laying off of this game. I'm going to sit back, relax, and watch it because it's going to be fucking awesome. James, what do you think?
Yeah, do we think this line would be 5.5 if they didn't get beat as bad by the Vikings? I don't think so. I also just don't like 5.5 for this team. I'm not sold on the Niners overall as a person. I still think they have some holes that they need to fill. But if you are a Niners believer, 5.5 should be something you should be hammering. If you really think this team is what people think they are, it's great Arizona Cardinals. They are who we thought we were. We let them in. But if you think this team is as good as the media does, that 5.5 number is wrong. If you aren't a believer in them, that 5.5 number is not good enough to take. So I'm not betting it, but if you're a Niners person, I'd recommend it at 5.5.
Yeah, talk about us overreacting, right, to the 49ers having the 32 out of 32 strength of schedule through the first 5 weeks of the season, and we thought they're the best team to ever play football. No duh, when they play some competent teams on the road, they're going to have a little bit of struggle, just like any other NFL team does. So yeah, we were kind of stupid. Should have seen that coming. We'll be better next year. Anthony, what do you think?
I defended the 49ers last week and said that they're still the top team in the NFL. Never have I been so wrong.
That's not true. You decided you were good at comedy once.
Shut the fuck up, Miles. Look, the 49ers, obviously there's something wrong. They just haven't been themselves. And the Bengals are coming off a bye week. They're a little bit on an upswing. They're coming off they went into the bye week after beating the Seahawks, who, Jamie, you have been praising quite a bit. But the Bengals were able to take them down. Now, granted, it was a close game, 13-17, but I kind of like the Bengals on this one. I like that plus 190 money line right there. So if I'm going to be betting my money, that's where I'm going to be putting it. I think the Bengals go into San Francisco and get a win.
Bengals get a win on the road at San Francisco, says Anthony. What do you say, Andrew?
I'm staying away from this game. Part of me says what can stop Joe Burrow in his tracks is a vicious pass rush, which San Francisco has. Yeah. However, I'm on the boat that Brock Purdy is okay. I don't know if he's the 9th best quarterback in the league. He's definitely not the worst, but part of me kind of thinks he's Jimmy Garoppolo if he doesn't pay to hang out porn stars. He's an average quarterback. When you can move him off his spots or when the timing's not right, he threw those interceptions. And yes, I know he started off his career 12-0 or whatever, but he really played a bunch of shitty teams. And you kind of saw Monday night what happens when he has to play from behind or he gets a little pass rush in his face. He's not really, that great compared to Joe Burrow, but I'd rather just stay away from this game.
Yeah, for the record, I do think Joe Burrow is a better quarterback, even right now, coming off of his shoddy calf injury in the offseason. But porn stars pay to hang out with Jimmy Garoppolo. So how dare you there, Mr. Andrew? Mr. Miles, what do you say?
This game, as far as the spread goes, it's hard for me to pick one direction. I'm not with you, Jamie. I do not have faith in Joe Burrow yet, but I also don't think the 49ers are as bad as they have been the last 2 weeks. I think there's a really good chance that they're going to go back to their home stadium. They're going to easily cover that negative 5.5 points. But if I'm wrong and Joe Burrow is the guy that you think he is now, that becomes much tighter. And that's why I lean 49ers to cover the spread. I do not endorse it.
Am I overreacting to Joe Burrow's recent success? Maybe. However, historically, with Joe Burrow, we've seen this fucking every year of his career. So that's kind of where I'm at there. But yeah, good point, Miles Francis. I might be overreacting to Joe Burrow's recent success, which I have been all season. Overreacting. Moving on to the Chicago Bears and the Chargers. Just the game we want to wait all day for. Sunday Night Football. We want to see the Bears play in Chicago. Probably going to have that whatever Hobbit guy playing for the Bears, does CrossFit, is undefeated, I think, as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Playing the Chargers. Quentin Johnston seems to be an absolute bust. Unfortunately, he looks, bad in the NFL. Maybe he figures it out next year. Probably not. Keenan Allen is good at football. Eckler, do we have an update on his status leading up to this game? Anybody know about Austin Eckler leading up to this game? No.
I think he should be good to go.
Chargers fan Anthony Ramos says he thinks he should be good to go.
Even if he's not, we still got Joshua Kelly. But I'll wait until my turn.
No, it is I did leave the floor open to everybody, so you're not speaking out of turn. This is still a round table.
Oh well, in that case, hold on.
Oh no! Go ahead, take it away, Anthony Ramos.
Oh fuck, that was seltzer. Look, I still have faith in my Chargers, especially against the Bears. The Bears are terrible. Look, I know that the Chargers are not good, but the Bears are terrible. Okay, like there's a whole different level of shit, and I think going into this one, I think the Chargers are going to win this. I don't ever want to bet on a minus 410 money line. That's insane. Like, I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Like, I don't think it's going to be, neither one of these teams are capable of blowing out anybody. I don't think it's going to be that decisive. That being said, I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout. I would take the over in 46.5. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a primetime kind of game, well-deserved. And I think that Justin Herbert finally figures out how the fuck to throw the football properly. And maybe we finally get this offense, like, no pun intended, electrified again. I think we can actually pull out a win, a decisive win here.
Okay. I'm laying off of it. I think that number's about right. I think the Chargers win by 8.5 points. James, what do you think?
So far, every time Anthony's been on the podcast, I'm 1-0 betting against the Chargers. The Chargers are also 0-1 when the NFL plant fan has been in the stadium and shown on TV.
Marianne Doe. Show some fucking
Marianne Doe. I'm going to admit I Googled her name while we were in between segments here and was not 100% sure if it was pronounced Marianne or not, so I did not go with the name. I appreciate that you did. I am going to go with a half unit on the Bears money line, and all shall be revealed in our next game.
Yeah. I would sprinkle on a little couple of pennies on the Bears money line here because the Chargers could just absolutely shit the bed because, they just suck. Andrew, what do you think?
I'm going with the Bears this week. I think they found a quarterback of the future. Benton, son of a 28-time arm wrestling champion.
Talk about an overreaction.
Hey, this is a guy who knows how to run an offense by feeding the ball to our boy,
DJ Moore.
The spirit of Chris Collinsworth just took over you. This is a guy that can.
This is a guy who can really hand the ball off 45 times to their third string running back. Go ahead.
And you know what? He should be the first string running back. This guy's going to carry you to fantasy football championships. I have him in every league. I cannot wait. 33 points I just had laying on my bench last week, but not this week. I'm starting him. I'm taking the Bears, giving the points, giving the win. And we're one step closer to Justin Fields working at IHOP.
Yeah, we'll see what Roschon Johnson has to say about that now that he'll very likely be cleared from, I believe, concussion protocol is what he's still in, what he's missed the past 2 games with. Deontay Foreman looked great last week, has looked not so great previously. We'll see what happens. Miles, what do you think?
Not true. That's lies.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
He's averaged over 100 yards in the last 3 seasons that he's had. He's started. It's just a real stat. He's talking
about Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, Deontay Foreman. People just don't like him because he's old and he had towards Achilles a couple years ago, but he's a solid back.
No, I agree with you. I think Roschon is a dude. I'm a Roschon truther, so that's where I come from. Not a shot at Deontay Foreman, who I am a manager of in dynasty leagues. But I think Roschon is the truth. If I were to choose one going forward, I would probably take Roschon. But yeah, I would love to see Deontay Foreman take over there. And I think the youth on Roschon's side and the draft capital they have in him is the reason they're probably going to err on his side. So that's where I come from, Andrew. I'm not to disparage, good point, not to disparage Deontay Foreman's athletic talent because he is a superstar. Miles, what do you think?
I don't love this one at all. The Chicago Bears have been all over the place. Some weeks they're the worst team in the NFL. And some teams, they manage to look like they function somehow. The Chargers are not too far off from that. They've got a lot more talent, I feel like, on the Chargers. But that 8.5 spread just doesn't give me any faith.
Brilliant. Moving on to the Monday Night Football game. I got a long weekend ahead of me because I got to wait to see my Lions play. The Las Vegas Raiders, it'll be at Detroit. It'll be at home. I'm taking the Lions -8. Fuck everybody else. James, what do you think?
Well, I said all would be revealed in my last pick. I'm taking another half unit, and I'm taking it on the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're teasing the 8 and the 8.5 from these two games because the NFL, as they sent me the script as usual, is telling me that both these be close games, and it's telling me that one of these two is going to be an upset to get the media circus going, to get the people talking. And I don't know which one of these two on Sunday or Monday it's going to be, but I can tell you both of them are going to be close, and that's why I'm teasing them as well.
Who are you teasing? You're teasing the
Raiders 8 and Bears 8.5. That makes it 14 and 14.5 for both of those. Sunday and Monday night games, they're notoriously close. They like to have close games. I think one of these teams pulls the upset. That's why I'm doing a half unit on both the underdog money lines. Plus 300 is way too high for a professional football team to ever be put at. I think one of them can pull it off. I think the Bears are more likely to pull it off, but I have a feeling that one of these two games is an upset, and I feel both of these games are going to be close. So I'm going with the narrative move here. I'm going with a little bit of a script move here by doing half units on those money lines and then teasing it for full unit with those other two.
Okay, I also have my teaser recommendation of the first half of the NFL season. I'm going to tease the Lions down to 2, and I'm going to tease the Bears up to whatever 6 plus 8.5 is. That'll be my teaser
14.5
of the first half of the season. God, we're going to make so much money this week. Anthony, what do you think?
You know what? As a Chargers fan, the Raiders have a history of pissing me off. And Jamie, I think they're going to do it to you. I'm doing a Hail Mary bet here. I like the money line for the Raiders plus 300. You. Let me go ahead and bet that. I think that the Raiders have an upset in them. They haven't done it just yet. The Lions, they are looking good, but even good teams lose, and they lose games they should lose. Not at
home sometimes. On Monday night.
I think that in prime time, the Raiders are going to pull out an upset and beat the Lions.
I will light my Aiden Hutchinson jersey on fire live on stream if the Lions lose to the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday night at home again. A raucous Monday night crowd. Granted, they all got to go build cars the next morning. That's a close game. They're going to stay, and they're going to be fucking loud as shit. They're going to call in. Not a lot of Ford Focuses and F-150s are going to be built the next day on Tuesday.
Pretty sure 3 shifts there, Jamie. So that's already a third of the fan base having to go to work during the game.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a downward. Sell Ford, sell GM if you got any stocks, and rebuy after the Monday Night Football dip. Miles, what do you think?
This is my last no-brainer of the week. I feel so bad whenever I'm this opposed to James, frankly, but the truth of the matter is the Detroit Lions are coming off of the big loss that Anthony just pointed out. They just got a little bit embarrassed. They were looking and trending towards being one of the dominant teams in the NFL this season. They're going to go back to Detroit. They're going to prove that they are that team. The Las Vegas Raiders have not, even with all the talent they have behind that organization, they have at no point looked like they were a competent football team in this NFL. The Detroit Lions are going to absolutely just rub it all over their faces all night long on Monday night.
Yeah, and playing in Baltimore is tough. Not too many teams in history have emptied their stadium.
Or her story, to be fair.
Or her story have emptied the stadium in Baltimore, other than the Baker Mayfield-led Cleveland Browns. Other than them, not many teams have done well in that stadium. And the Lions are back home. This is going to be an absolutely electric atmosphere. They're 5-2. It's just going to be, it's a tough barn to play in. That's a 4-point barn. That's like a Seattle Seahawks level barn, in my opinion. And that has been our preview and gambling recommendations for the week 8 of the NFL football season. Please leave a like, leave a comment if you made any money. Please subscribe if you want to listen to us some more. We will be live streaming Thursday night football. Anybody, Miles, Anthony, James?
I'm going to be at Reno's on Thursday, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. That's why I never invite you, because you're always busy on Thursday. We'd love to have you on like a Sunday show, for the record. I love you, Anthony. Miles, what are you doing Thursday night, buddy?
TBD, I will get back to you ASAP, but I should be good for the evening game.
Hell yeah. So it sounds like Miles is probably going to be on that. James always invited as well. James, I'll let you start signing us off here. Not a public figure, NFL insider, giving us a little bit of a tip on what the Carolina Panthers are doing in the previous episode. What do you got to say to the audience of what are we talking about with Jamie Jakes?
Just thanks for tuning in, guys. This is probably, as Jamie mentioned, one of the highlights of the week, doing this with you guys on Tuesdays. So
Super
absolutely, fun. If you're a fan, we appreciate you guys, and please keep watching. It's been a whole heck of a lot of fun doing this.
Hell yeah. And Mr. Andrew, not a public figure, what do you got to say to the crowd?
Hey, for all the fine folks I met in Savannah on this weekend at the Civil War reenactment, I told you guys this would be a very entertaining show. Not as entertaining maybe as the Battle of Antebellum, but you know what? No one died today. Let's go.
No one died today, not on the podcast at least. Anthony Ramoz, what do you got to say?
You can follow me on Instagram at Hey Ramos, HeyRamoz. Also, Jamie, I hope that you still plan on having people over for the Sunday game, the Bears and the Chargers, because I do plan on coming if you are. That will be a lot of fun. You'll get to see me get upset with my team again. Also, I don't know if you promote shows or not on here, Jamie, but you and me will actually be at Outfit Brewing on Friday. So if you want to come tell us how bad our takes are in person, you could do it there, get some good beer, and also participate in the costume contest. Would be a lot of fun.
It is a free comedy show. Starts at 7 p.m. Bring your costumes. Wear them on your body. If you have a good costume, you will win free beer. Outfit Brewing Company in Dallas, Texas. It's a free show, so come on out and laugh at some honestly, really good comedians. I would tell you if they sucked if I thought they did, because I'm that type of guy. Mr. Miles, what do you got to say? Mr. Most Days Off.
You can find me everywhere online at Mr. Most Days Off. We've got a pretty big show coming up at Reno's in Deep Ellum on November 4th. I'm pretty excited about. Mr. Anthony Ramoz is putting that on. Myself, along with Bill King, will be opening for Sam Miller, so it's going to be a good night.
Sounds like an absolute blast. You can follow me at JMJKS on X. I have over 500 followers. No big deal. Thank you. Good night.